The notification popped up while I was cleaning paint off my hands. Family reunion tomorrow. Can't wait. For a second, I thought it was a mistake. I hadn't joined that group chat in months. Still, my phone buzzed again, messages rolling in like laughter I wasn't invited to. Tomorrow's going to be huge. Rebecca wrote, "Make sure the place looks perfect," Mom added. Dad sent a thumbs up emoji. No one mentioned me. I opened the group info. Venue, Heart Art Studio. My art studio. My chest tightened. No, I whispered. They didn't. I scrolled faster. Photos, jokes, planning, my family, planning an event in my space. My name wasn't there. Not even once. I texted Rebecca privately. Me, why is the reunion at my studio? She replied almost instantly. Rebecca, oh, you weren't using it, right? Thought you'd be fine. Me, I had a show booked. Rebecca, oh, sweetie. Don't be dramatic. It's just one night. Family first? Family first. I laughed out loud, bitter and sharp. Family first, unless it's me. The phone vibrated again. Mom chimed in the group chat. Rebecca, make sure to invite Noah and his wife. My stomach dropped. Noah. Rebecca replied, already done. Then a row of heart emojis followed. I typed, me. I'm not sure if you realized this, but that's my studio. Then I deleted it. My thumb hovered over send, but my pulse said, don't give them satisfaction. I stared at my reflection in the phone screen. Messy hair, paint on my cheek, tired eyes. I'd built that studio from nothing. Every wall, every frame. It was supposed to be my first exhibit next week. I called the venue manager. Hi, it's Elena Hart. I'm confirming my reservation for next Friday. There was a pause. Oh, Miss Hart, he said softly. I was just about to call you. The booking was canceled. Someone from your family paid double for that date. Who? Your sister. Rebecca Hart. Silence pressed against my ears. Did she say why? She said it was for a family function. I thought you knew, I forced a laugh. Of course. I must have forgotten. My voice shook as I hung up. The world felt small and cruel. The buzzing of my phone continued. So excited to see everyone. We'll toast to family love. Rebecca, you're amazing. I turned it off. When the room went quiet, I sat on the floor. My heart pounded so loud I could almost hear it echo. So this is how they erase me, I whispered. A knock sounded at my door. Mrs. Devlin, our old housekeeper, peeked in. Elena, you okay, darling? I swallowed hard. They booked my studio for the reunion. Her eyes widened. What, without asking you? Apparently I don't exist anymore. She stepped inside. You've always existed. They just don't see what's right in front of them. I should be used to it, I said. They've been pretending I'm invisible since I was a kid, Mrs. Devlin sighed. You're your grandfather's girl. He saw you. Don't forget that, I nodded faintly. I won't. After she left, I sat staring at my half-finished painting, a faceless woman standing in rain. I whispered, guess that's me. Then my phone blinked again, another message. This one from Noah. Noah, heard about the reunion? You coming? Me, didn't get an invite. Noah, oh, maybe it was a mistake. Rebecca said everyone's welcome. Me, right, everyone but me. He stopped replying. I stared at the gray scene mark, feeling my throat tighten. Minutes passed before I finally turned my phone off for good. In the dark, I said it out loud, clear and steady this time. They took everything. My art, my space, my voice. But they don't get my silence. The paint on my hands had dried, rough and red. I looked down, smiling bitterly. Fine, I whispered. Let's see how perfect their reunion looks when the truth shows up. And for the first time that night, I didn't cry. The morning air felt heavy when I reached the studio. I hoped maybe it was all a misunderstanding, but deep down I already knew. Good morning, Ms. Hart, the manager said nervously as I walked in. You're early. I need to check my reservation, I said. For next Friday, he hesitated. About that? Just tell me, I whispered. He rubbed the back of his neck. Your sister's team came in last week. They offered double the price. Your booking was replaced? Replaced? I repeated, my voice hollow. Without my consent? I thought it was a family decision. They said you agreed. I looked around. My paintings were gone. Every wall was draped in gold cloth, fake smiles printed on banners. Hart family reunion. My name nowhere. My art erased. I touched the wall where my main piece had hung. You moved everything? Yes, ma'am. They said they'd handle storage. We boxed your work carefully. Where? In the back room. I can show you? No need, I said quickly. I'll get them myself. He lowered his voice. I'm sorry. I didn't know, I forced a smile. You did what they paid you to do. Don't apologize for surviving, he blinked. Will you attend the reunion? Do ghosts attend parties for the living? I asked. He didn't answer. I walked out before my voice cracked. The morning light felt cruel, too bright. My hands trembled as I passed the windows. People were already setting up tables, silver trays, lights, everything gleaming and false. Rebecca's assistant, a young woman in heels too high to walk on cobblestones, spotted me. Oh, Miss Hart, you're here early. Mrs. Rebecca said not to worry, she's handling everything. She's handling my event, I said sharply. Does she know that? The girl hesitated. I just follow orders. Of course you do, I said, stepping closer. Tell her I stopped by. Tell her I saw what she did. Her eyes widened. Should I? No, I said. Don't tell her anything else. Let her wonder. I turned the corner, heart pounding. My reflection followed me in every window. Tired eyes, clenched jaw, the face of someone forgotten. A vendor nearby called out, Miss, want a flyer for the charity gala? I froze. What gala? He handed me a glossy poster. Rebecca Hart presents Golden Hearts Charity Gala, below the title, my art theme. My design, even the logo I'd sketched months ago. That's next weekend, he said. Big family name, right? Heard it's for orphans or something? Yeah, I muttered. Something like that. The poster crinkled in my hands. My name had been replaced with hers. My work turned into decoration for her ego. I walked until the noise of the city blurred. My phone buzzed again. Rebecca's message, hope you don't mind about the venue. I'll give you credit in this speech. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered. I typed, you stole my art, my theme, and my trust. Then I deleted it. Instead, I wrote, good luck with the gala. I sent it before I could stop myself. Seconds later, she replied, aw, thanks, sis. Knew you'd understand. You've always been so supportive. Supportive. That word stung like acid. I laughed out loud, drawing looks from strangers. A call came in. Mom. I hesitated but answered. Elena, don't make a scene, okay? She said immediately. I haven't even said anything yet. I heard you were at the venue. Rebecca worked so hard on this. Be proud of her. She worked hard stealing my exhibition, I snapped. Elena, she sighed. You always take things so personally. It's family. We share. Did we share when you gave her my inheritance for college? When you told guests I was just the quiet one? Elena, please. Not this again. Then what should I call it? I asked quietly. Love? There was silence. Then she said, you've always been dramatic. Don't ruin tomorrow. She hung up. I stared at the phone until the screen went dark. The ache in my chest wasn't new, but something inside me cracked. Small, sharp, and permanent. I whispered to myself. They forgot me long before today. As I walked home, I passed a group of kids painting on the sidewalk, their laughter echoing through the street. One girl looked up and smiled. You're the lady from the posters. I stopped. Am I? Your flowers, she said, pointing at her chalk drawing. They're pretty like yours. I smiled weakly. Thank you. When I turned the corner, the smile faded. My hands were shaking again, but not from sadness this time. It was something hotter, steadier. Rage, I murmured. If they want to pretend I don't exist, they'll soon remember. And for the first time in years, I meant it. The rain was soft that night when he proposed. I still remember the way the light flickered off his nervous smile. Noah, I'd laughed. Are you actually shaking? He grinned. Maybe. I've never done this before. Better not be rehearsed, I teased. Only practiced in my head, every day since I met you, he said, kneeling. Elena Hart, will you marry me? I said yes before I even thought about it. My heart was too full, too sure. We were happy once. At least I think we were. Now, staring at the reunion photos on my phone, I saw him, standing beside Rebecca, his arm around her waist, smiling the same smile he used to give me. I whispered, so that's what true love looks like, handed down like furniture. A memory pushed in. My parents' living room, 1 year before the breakup. Rebecca had walked in wearing red, glowing, perfect. Mom's voice had been honeyed. "Noah, you look so handsome next to Rebecca. You two could be in a magazine." I'd laughed then, trying to sound casual. "Mom, he's my fiancé." "Oh, of course, dear," she'd said, eyes never leaving them. "I was just saying you compliment each other nicely." Noah had only smiled awkwardly. I remember that smile now. It was guilt, not discomfort. Another memory, late nights when his texts became shorter. "Busy, sorry. Call you later." "Just tired." I'd tried to joke. "You've been tired for weeks." He'd replied, "Rebecca's helping me with a charity project." "She's exhausting," I'd laughed. "She exhausts everyone." He hadn't laughed back. Later, at a family dinner, Rebecca leaned close to him while pouring wine. "You always know how to make everyone feel calm," she'd said softly, and I'd seen it, how his eyes flickered, how his hand brushed hers too naturally. My mother's approving nod in the background had sealed it. That night, I'd asked him, "Are you falling for her?" He'd gone silent. "Noah, say something," he'd sighed. "You're imagining things. I'm not. I know you." "She's just easy to talk to," he'd muttered. "You get emotional sometimes," I'd whispered, "because I care." He'd looked away. Maybe too much. That was the moment I knew. Love was slipping away quietly, one excuse at a time. A week later, he came over, pale and restless. I remember every word. "Elena, we need to talk," he said. "Then talk." He swallowed. "You're amazing, but I don't think we're right for each other anymore." "Because of her?" He froze. "It's not like that." "Then what's it like?" "She understands me. She listens." He hesitated. "You make me feel guilty for being happy." My throat had burned. "I gave you everything. I know. That's the problem. I can't give it back." I'd said nothing then. I just stared at him until he left. The sound of the door closing had been louder than any scream. Weeks passed before I saw them together, walking hand in hand outside my old cafe. Rebecca saw me first. Her smile had been sharp. "Oh, Elena. Small world." "Yeah," I'd said. "The world loves recycling." She'd laughed like I'd told a joke. "We didn't mean to hurt you. Things just happened." Noah had looked down. "I never wanted it to be messy." "Then you shouldn't have chosen my sister." He'd whispered, "It wasn't about choosing." "Yes, it was," I'd said. "You just chose the one who shined brighter in their eyes." Now, years later, that same smile glowed in the reunion photos. Rebecca in gold, Noah beside her, my family clapping around them. My phone screen blurred as my eyes stung. I murmured, "They destroyed me to polish her image." My hand shook. I wanted to delete the photo, but couldn't. It wasn't just a picture, it was proof. Proof that I'd been replaceable. I whispered to the screen, "You'll never admit it, but you both knew what you were doing." A knock came from my neighbor's door. Lucas's voice drifted through. "Elena, you okay in there?" "I'm fine," I called back. "You sound like you're talking to ghosts." "Maybe I am." He paused. "Then make sure they hear you." I smiled bitterly. "Oh, they will." The rain started again outside, tapping against the window like soft applause. I stared into the dark and said, "You chose her, Noah, but one day, you'll remember what it cost." I stared at the blinking cursor in the family chat window. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "You used my venue." "My art, my dreams." That was my first sentence. Simple, sharp, true. Then I kept typing. "You replaced my work with banners. You erased me. You turned my studio into your stage. You used my name when it suited you and forgot it when it didn't." I reread the message, feeling my pulse in my throat. My hands trembled. Should I send it? Would they even care? The typing indicator flashed. Rebecca. "Big day tomorrow. Don't forget to smile for the cameras, Mom." Mom replied instantly. "Always, darling." Then silence. No one mentioned me again. I typed one more line. "You don't get to silence me anymore." Then I froze. The room felt too quiet. My own breathing was loud. I hovered over the blue arrow that would send everything. The truth, the anger, the years of being invisible. I whispered, "If I send this, they'll twist it. I'll be the bitter one again." I deleted the message, one backspace at a time. Each press felt like swallowing glass. When the screen went blank, I exhaled, shaking. A new message appeared. Private this time. "Aunt Margaret." You deserve better, child, I blinked. You saw the chat? I typed back. Didn't have to. I know how they are. I know what they've done. They replaced my event, Aunt Margaret. They're rotting from the inside, she replied. And one day they'll taste what they've built. That's dramatic, I wrote. No, she answered. That's karma. I stared at her message for a long time. Karma. I'd never believed in it before. But maybe I wanted to, she wrote again. You remind me of your grandfather, you know. He had the same quiet fire. My chest tightened. I miss him, I replied. He left something for you, she said. Didn't your parents ever tell you? No, what do you mean? Look through his old things. You'll find it. He said it was meant for you and you alone. I typed. I thought he only left them the estate. Not everything went to them. Some things don't belong in greedy hands. I stared at the message until the light from my phone dimmed. Then I whispered, What did you leave me, Grandpa? I got up and walked to the closet where I kept a small wooden box, old, carved with initials, E.H. It had belonged to him. Inside were letters, sketches, and a sealed envelope yellowed by time. My name was written on the front in his uneven handwriting. I sat on the floor, heart pounding, fingers trembling as I opened it. Dear Elena, it began. If you're reading this, it means you've learned how lonely the truth can be. I saw the way they looked past you, the way they stole your light and called it love. Don't let them take everything. I made sure they can't. My breath hitched. There's a trust in your name. I locked it with my lawyer before I passed. The key is honesty. Find him. He'll know you by your heart, not your bloodline. At the bottom, a small silver key was taped to the page. My reflection shimmered faintly in it. I whispered, You really did see me. My phone buzzed again. Rebecca this time. Hey, sis! You coming tomorrow? The press wants a full family photo, I typed slowly. No, I'll be busy. Busy doing what? She wrote. Remembering who I am, she sent back a laughing emoji. I didn't reply. I held the letter against my chest, closing my eyes. For the first time in years, the silence felt peaceful, not empty. Aunt Margaret messaged again. Found it? Yes, I typed. He left me a key. Then use it, she wrote. Open every door they tried to lock, I smiled. I will. I folded the letter carefully and slid it back into the box. The silver key glinted under the lamplight. For years, they'd stolen everything from me. My art, my love, my voice. But this was mine, I whispered to the key. Let's see what truth feels like. Lucas met me outside the law office, his tie crooked, eyes warm. You sure you're ready for this? No, I said. But I'm tired of being the one who never knows the truth. He smiled faintly. Then let's go find it. The receptionist looked up as we entered. Appointment? Lucas Grant representing Elena Hart, he said confidently. Her tone changed. Of course, Mr. Vance is expecting you. Inside, the office smelled of old paper and secrets. Mr. Vance stood as we walked in, gray hair, polite smile. Miss Hart, your grandfather spoke of you often. My chest tightened. You knew him? I did. He was particular about his affairs. Said only you would understand his final instructions. Lucas gestured to the folder on the desk. We'd like to see the trust file, please. Mr. Vance nodded, unlocking a drawer and pulling out a thick envelope marked Private for Elena Hart. He handed it to me. Your grandfather's wish was clear. You are the sole beneficiary of a trust account established 20 years ago. I blinked. Then why haven't I seen a cent? That, he said carefully, is the troubling part. Lucas leaned forward. Go on. Mr. Vance unfolded a few documents. 5 years after his death, a transfer was authorized, under your name. Signature and ID included. Everything appeared valid. My stomach turned cold. But I never signed anything. He slid the paper across the desk. My own name stared back at me in neat, practiced handwriting. It wasn't mine. That's not my signature, I said softly. I know, he replied. I compared it with your art contracts from years ago. The handwriting doesn't match, Lucas frowned. Who filed it? Mr. Vance hesitated. The records list. Rebecca Hart. The room went still. My throat felt raw. She forged my name? Mr. Vance nodded slowly. She claimed to act under family consent. Your parents co-signed, I laughed, short and sharp. Of course they did, Lucas whispered. How much was transferred? Mr. Vance looked uncomfortable. Nearly $2 million. It was moved into an account under her management. The Heart Foundation, I believe. I pressed my palm against the desk. The charity she built her image on. That's my money, he sighed. Legally, it can be challenged. You'd need to file a fraud claim, and I'll do it, I interrupted. Every paper, every court, every word. I'll do it. Lucas glanced at me. You're serious. I've spent years letting them take things from me, I said quietly. Not anymore. Mr. Vance slid another document forward. You might want to see this. It's your grandfather's personal note from the same file. I opened it, hands trembling. Elena, if they ever touch what's yours, fight for it. You were never weak. You just believed they'd love you if you gave enough. Stop giving! My eyes burned. I folded the note carefully, holding it like something sacred. Lucas's voice broke the silence. He believed in you. I didn't believe in myself, I admitted. Not until right now. He smiled slightly. Then this is your start. Mr. Vance handed me a pen. If you'd like, I can begin drafting the claim today. I took it. The weight of it felt heavier than any brush I'd ever held. Do it. As he typed, Lucas whispered, You're shaking. I'm angry, I said. That's new for me. Anger's good, he replied. Means you're alive. I looked at him. I used to think silence made me stronger. It didn't, it just made me disappear, he nodded. Then make some noise. When we left, the city light hit my face like a promise. I could almost hear my grandfather's voice, steady, kind, telling me this was how freedom begins. Lucas walked beside me quietly, hands in his pockets. You okay? No, I said honestly. But it's the best kind of not okay I've ever felt. He laughed softly. That's progress, I smiled. Feels strange. What does? Having someone on my side? He shrugged. Get used to it. You're not fighting alone. The breeze carried the faint scent of rain. I looked up, whispering, I hope you're watching, Grandpa. Lucas glanced at me. What did you say? Nothing, I said, just, thank you. For what? For reminding me I still exist, he smiled gently. You always did. We reached the corner where our paths split. Lucas paused. You sure you're ready for what's next? I held the silver key tighter in my palm. I've been ready my whole life. I just didn't know it, he nodded once. Then let's make them regret ever underestimating you. And for the first time in years, I didn't look away. I stood outside my studio, the sound of laughter leaking through the glass. Golden lights flashed behind the windows, my lights. My name still etched faintly on the door, though someone had taped a Heart Family Reunion sign over it. Lucas looked at me. You sure about this? I own this place, I said quietly. I don't need an invitation to what's mine. He nodded, holding the folder with the legal documents. Then let's walk in like we belong. I do, I whispered. They just forgot. We stepped inside. The music stopped. Dozens of heads turned. Champagne glasses froze midair. I felt every eye crawl over me. Black dress, no smile, no apology. My mother's voice came first, soft and sharp. Elena, what are you doing here? I met her gaze. Attending my own party. Rebecca appeared, glowing in gold, her perfect hair shimmering under the lights. Always dramatic, she said. Couldn't resist a grand entrance? I didn't plan to, I replied. But then I remembered I paid for the floor beneath your heels. The crowd murmured. Dad stepped forward. Elena, this isn't the time. I tilted my head. It's the only time, apparently. Every other day I'm invisible. Rebecca smiled sweetly. Don't start, please. It's a family event? Then where was my invite? I asked. She shrugged. You're always so busy being emotional. We didn't want tension. Lucas set the folder on a nearby table. Miss Hart has every right to be here. Rebecca turned to him, eyes narrowing. And who are you? He smiled politely. Her legal counsel. The color drained slightly from her face. Legal? Yes, I said. Because you didn't just take my studio. You took something else too. She laughed, too loud. Oh, please. You're imagining things again. Funny, I said. That's what Noah used to tell me. Her smirk faltered. Around us, people whispered. My mother hissed, Elena, stop this nonsense before you embarrass yourself. I looked at her calmly. The only embarrassment here is pretending theft is love. Lucas opened the folder and laid out the documents. Here we have proof of a forged signature and unauthorized asset transfer, both under the name Rebecca Hart. Rebecca's eyes widened. That's ridiculous. Where did you— From the lawyer who handled our grandfather's estate, I interrupted. He left that trust to me, not you. Dad's voice boomed. Lower your tone, young lady. I laughed softly. Now you remember I'm your daughter? Watch yourself, he warned. I've been watching all my life, I said. Watching you praise her lies, watching you pretend I was ungrateful, watching you build a legacy out of what you stole. Rebecca's voice trembled. You don't understand how hard it was to keep this family's reputation. By erasing mine? Her hand shook as she reached for a drink. You never fit in. You were always so distant. Maybe because distance was the only thing you didn't steal from me. Gasps rippled. Mom whispered. Please, can we not do this here? Why not? I said. You turned my art gallery into your stage. Let's make it worth the audience. Noah appeared from behind the crowd, pale, uneasy. Elena, he started. Maybe talk privately? I smiled coldly. You lost the right to talk to me privately when you chose her? He lowered his gaze. Rebecca's hands clenched around her glass. This is pathetic. What's pathetic, I said, is pretending to shine while standing on someone else's shadow. Lucas spoke quietly beside me. Everything's filed. They can't deny it anymore. Rebecca's voice cracked. You think anyone here cares? They love me. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Then why are they backing away? I looked around. The guests were whispering, avoiding her eyes. Even my parents looked cornered. Dad muttered, This could ruin us. I faced him. No, she ruined you. I'm just turning the lights on. Rebecca's voice rose, trembling. You're jealous. You always have been. Maybe once, I said softly. But jealousy fades. Truth doesn't. I reached for the microphone on the stand beside the stage. My hand didn't shake. Since I wasn't invited, I said into it, I'll make my own toast. To honesty, the rarest thing in this room. Silence. I turned toward my family. You use my name, my work, my blood. Tonight, I take it back. The words echoed through the room. Rebecca slammed her glass down. You think anyone will believe you? Lucas held up the notarized papers. They already do. Someone clapped from the corner. Then another. The sound spread like wildfire. My chest burned, but not from pain. It was power, real and raw. Mom whispered to Dad, Do something. He didn't move. He just stared at the documents, jaw clenched. Rebecca's voice dropped to a whisper. You'll regret this. I met her eyes. No, you will. Lucas touched my arm gently. Ready to go? I nodded. Yeah, I think the party's over. We walked toward the door. Behind us, the golden lights flickered, like something false finally burning out. Outside, the air was cool. Lucas said softly, You were brilliant in there. I wasn't trying to be, I said. I just told the truth. He smiled. Sometimes that's the loudest thing you can do. I looked back once. Through the glass, I saw Rebecca drop her mask for the first time. Fear, raw and real. And I whispered to myself, Now they finally see me. The silence after my words felt like thunder waiting to break. For a moment, no one moved. Then a camera flash went off, then another. The reporters Rebecca had invited to celebrate her charity success were now recording our destruction. I held the microphone loosely. You wanted publicity, I said. Here it is, Rebecca's voice cracked. You planned this. You waited until tonight to humiliate us. I didn't plan anything, I said calmly. You did 5 years ago when you forged my signature. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered, Forged? Lucas stepped forward, voice steady. The documents are verified by the estate's attorney. All evidence has been filed. Dad's face turned pale. This is absurd. You're lying. Really? I asked. Would you like me to read the bank statement too? Mom clutched her chest. Elena, enough. You'll ruin this family. I met her eyes. You already did that without my help. Rebecca's smile trembled. You think anyone will believe you over us? They don't have to believe me, I said. They can see it. I nodded at Lucas. He pulled up scanned documents on his tablet, holding them high for everyone to see. The signatures, the transaction logs, the charity account under Rebecca's name. A reporter raised her phone. Is that the same foundation you used to fund tonight's event, Ms. Hart? Rebecca's jaw dropped. That's private. Not anymore, I said. My mother swayed, pressing a hand dramatically to her forehead. I can't breathe. Someone rushed forward to steady her. Don't faint now, I said softly. You wouldn't want to miss the finale. The crowd chuckled nervously. My father's voice shook with anger. You've gone mad. You're jealous of your sister's success. Jealous? I laughed. Of what? Her lies or your approval? Rebecca slammed her glass down, the shatter echoing. I worked for everything I have. With my inheritance, I replied. Her voice rose. You never did anything with your life. You painted your feelings on walls and called it art. And you painted over mine and called it charity, I said. The cameras clicked faster. Someone muttered, This is better than the news. Rebecca spun toward them, shouting, Stop filming! One reporter replied, You invited us, remember? The panic in her eyes spread like cracks through glass. This is all lies. My sister's unstable, ask anyone. Then why is the evidence in your handwriting? Lucas asked quietly. She froze. I stepped closer. You used to tell me family meant loyalty, but you only meant obedience. Don't you dare lecture me, she hissed. I carried this family's reputation while you hid in your studio like a ghost. I was hiding because you locked the doors, I said. Her voice broke. You've ruined everything. No, I said softly. You did that yourself. For a moment, everything stopped. The music, the whispers, the shallow laughter. Rebecca's lip trembled, eyes glistening under the golden lights. My father turned on her suddenly. Tell me this isn't true, she flinched. Dad, answer me, he roared. It was just paperwork. She cried. I did it for the family. For you, Mom gasped. Rebecca! Tears ran down her cheeks, streaking her perfect makeup. I did it so people would respect us. So you'd finally love me. Her voice cracked on the last word. I whispered, You don't earn love by stealing it. She turned on me like an animal cornered. You think you're so pure? You loved being the victim. You needed it. I looked her straight in the eyes. Not anymore. The crowd shifted. Someone whispered, She forged everything? Another voice, That's criminal, right? Lucas nodded once. We'll be pressing charges, Rebecca screamed. You can't. You're family. Family? I said. That word doesn't mean what you think it does. She lunged toward me, but Dad grabbed her arm. Enough! For the first time, he looked afraid, not for her reputation, but for himself. Mom sank into a chair, muttering, This can't be happening. I looked at her. It already happened. You just didn't care until people were watching. The guests began leaving, whispering to each other, shaking their heads. The golden decorations that once sparkled now looked cheap under the harsh lights. Rebecca fell to her knees, crying. Please, Elena, don't do this. I'll fix it. I'll give it back. You can't return what you already broke, I said. Lucas touched my arm gently. Let's go, but I couldn't move. I looked around. The faces, the shattered illusions, the pieces of a family built on lies. I used to dream of being seen, I whispered. I just never imagined it would look like this. Rebecca looked up at me through tears. I hate you. I know, I said quietly. It's easier than hating yourself. The last reporter left. The door clicked shut, leaving only silence and the faint hum of broken music. Dad spoke finally, his voice low. You destroyed this family's name. No, I said. I cleaned it. Mom looked away. Rebecca buried her face in her hands. Lucas whispered, It's done. I nodded slowly. No, it's just starting. We walked out together. Behind me, I heard Rebecca sobbing, my parents arguing, glasses clinking, the sound of everything collapsing at once. Outside, the air was cold, clean. I took a deep breath. Lucas said, You didn't even raise your voice. I didn't need to, I replied. Truth is loud enough, he smiled faintly. They'll never forget tonight. I looked back one last time at the golden building fading behind us. Good, I said. Neither will I. 3 days later, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. News alerts, headlines, messages. Hart family scandal shocks. City. Lucas leaned over my laptop. They're calling it the golden collapse. Catchy. I gave a humorless laugh. They finally found a way to make betrayal sound poetic. He grinned faintly. You okay? Not really, I said. But it's a good kind of not okay. The world outside felt strangely quiet, despite the chaos online. My parents had gone silent, Rebecca had vanished from social media, and the studio, my studio, was finally empty again. Lucas handed me a cup of coffee. Your sister's husband filed for divorce this morning. I stared at the cup. So even love abandons her when the cameras do. She'll blame you, he said. She already does. He sat across from me, opening a folder. The last of the legal documents are ready. Once you sign these, the trust and property are officially yours again. I hesitated. It feels too simple. It's not, he said. But you earned it. The pen felt heavy in my hand. You know, I murmured, I thought I'd feel triumphant. What do you feel instead? Relieved, tired, lighter, he nodded. That's freedom. The sound of my signature scratching across the paper felt final, like closing a wound that had been open for years. My phone buzzed again. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Rebecca? No. I looked at the screen. Noah, he frowned. Want me to read it? I shook my head and opened it. The message was short. I was wrong. That was all. I stared at it for a long time. Wrong about what? I muttered. About love or loyalty or both? Lucas watched me carefully. You don't have to reply. I'm not going to, I said, deleting it with one tap. Some things don't deserve an answer, he smiled. That's progress. I used to think silence was weakness, I said. Now it feels like control. He leaned back. Control looks good on you. I rolled my eyes, but a small smile slipped through. Flattery doesn't suit lawyers. Only honest ones, he said. We both laughed softly. For the first time, the sound didn't feel forced. The studio was quiet, except for the echo of our voices. I looked around. Bare walls, sunlight spilling through the windows, traces of paint on the floor. It's strange, I said. This place was filled with their noise for so long. Now it's just... Mine again. Lucas closed his folder. So what will you do next? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe start painting again. He nodded. Good idea. I looked at the empty canvas leaning against the wall. It feels different now. Like I can finally paint for me. He stood. That's what your grandfather wanted, isn't it? I touched the silver key hanging around my neck. Yeah, he left me money, but what he really gave me was permission. Permission for what? To stop apologizing for existing, he smiled. That's a better inheritance than any bank account. I walked to the window, watching people move through the street below, normal, unbothered, free. You think they'll ever forgive me? I asked quietly. Do you want them to? He replied. I thought about it. No, I just want to stop caring whether they do. Then you already won, he said. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a courier holding a thick envelope. Delivery for Ms. Hart. I signed and opened it. Inside was a handwritten note from Aunt Margaret. Proud of you, my dear. You didn't destroy them. You exposed them. Remember, light doesn't fight the dark, it replaces it. I smiled faintly. She always knows what to say. Lucas looked over my shoulder. She's right. I tucked the note into my pocket. Maybe one day I'll thank her properly. Maybe one day you'll thank yourself, he said. We sat in silence for a moment. The tension that once defined me was gone, replaced by something softer. Peace, maybe. Lucas checked his watch. I should head out. You'll be okay? Yeah, I said. For the first time, I think I will be. He hesitated at the door. Elena? Yeah? He smiled. You didn't get revenge tonight. You got justice? Maybe, I said, but it still feels like freedom. When he left, I stood alone in the quiet. My phone buzzed again. Calls from reporters, messages from strangers, all wanting a comment. I ignored them. I whispered, I don't owe anyone my story anymore. The sunlight stretched across the floor, touching the old paint stains I'd refused to clean. I smiled at them. They were proof I'd built something real even when no one saw. I whispered to the empty room, it's over. And for the first time, it truly was. A soft knock broke the quiet that morning. When I opened the door, Mrs. Devlin stood there, clutching a cardboard box. Morning, dear, she said gently. Got something you should see, I frowned. What is it? Your grandfather's things. Found them in the old attic when the estate was being cleared out. Figured they belonged with you. I stepped aside. Come in. She placed the box on my kitchen table, brushing the dust from her hands. He kept these locked up. Said they were for when you finally found your voice. My chest tightened. He really said that? She nodded. That man loved you something fierce, Elena. I opened the box carefully. Inside were old sketchbooks, folded notes, and a few crumpled photographs. The paper smelled like thyme and turpentine. Mrs. Devlin smiled softly. Go on, have a look. I pulled out a drawing, charcoal lines, gentle and deliberate. A little girl sat on the floor painting under sunlight. Her hair was messy, her smile wide. That's me, I whispered. I know, she said. He drew that the day you painted your first mural on the garden wall. Your mother nearly fainted. I laughed quietly. I remember. He told her it was the best wall in the city. He meant it, she said. He saw you before anyone else did. My throat tightened. He was the only one who ever did. Mrs. Devlin placed a hand on my shoulder. You remind me of him more every day. Stubborn heart, quiet strength. I smiled faintly. He'd probably tell me to stop crying and get back to work. She chuckled. Oh, he would. Then he'd bring you tea. I wiped my eyes, flipping through more pages. Rough sketches, half-finished portraits, little notes scribbled in the margins. Art is truth that doesn't need permission. Let her paint what she feels, I whispered. He was talking about me. He always was, she said. At the bottom of the box was a sealed envelope with my name in faded ink. I opened it carefully. Inside was a letter. My dearest Elena, if the world ever makes you doubt your worth, remember this. You were born to create, not to please. Let them talk, let them take. Your light will return every time you paint what's real. Don't hide your heart. That's where your power lives. Tears blurred the words. He knew everything, I whispered. Mrs. Devlin nodded. He knew you'd need his voice someday. I folded the letter carefully. I think I needed this more than I realized, she smiled. Then he did his job. We sat in silence for a moment. The morning light stretched across the table, touching the edges of the sketches. They looked alive again. I turned to her. Do you think he'd be proud of me? Her answer was simple. He already was. The words broke something open inside me. Not pain this time, but release. The kind that feels like breathing after holding it too long. I whispered, I want to do something for him. Something that lasts. What do you have in mind? She asked. I smiled. A foundation. For kids who can't afford art supplies. I'll name it after him. Her eyes softened. He'd love that. I'll donate part of the inheritance, I said. Money that came from lies should fund something honest. Mrs. Devlin exhaled slowly. You've come a long way, child. I'm still walking, I said. But at least I'm facing the right direction. She stood, wiping a tear. You're not that forgotten girl anymore. No, I said quietly. She finally remembered herself. Mrs. Devlin squeezed my hand before leaving. Keep that letter safe. I will, I promised. When she was gone, I spread the sketches across the table, sunlight washing over every stroke. For the first time, I didn't feel alone in the silence. I whispered to the air, Thank you, Grandpa. The room seemed to breathe with me, calm, warm, alive, and for the first time, my tears felt like paint, something that built, not broke. The smell of fresh paint filled the air again. My studio was alive. Laughter bounced off the walls, soft music played, and brushes clinked in jars like glass wind chimes. Lucas stood near the door, greeting guests as they arrived. You sure this isn't too small for a grand reopening? He teased. It's not about grand, I said. It's about real, he smiled. Then it's perfect. A group of children painted near the window, their little hands covered in colors. One girl looked up. Miss Elena, can I use the yellow? Of course, I said, handing her the tube. Use as much light as you need, she giggled. Light's my favorite, I smiled. Mine too. Aunt Margaret arrived next, elegant as ever, her silver hair catching the sunlight. So this is the famous studio, she said. I've heard stories, I laughed softly. Most of them dramatic, I'm sure. Only the good ones, she said. The ones where you win? I hugged her tightly. I wouldn't have made it here without you. She tapped my chin gently. You made it because you stopped waiting for permission. Lucas joined us, offering her a glass of lemonade. She's been unstoppable lately, he said. Aunt Margaret winked at me. About time. The walls were lined with new paintings, bright skies, open hands, laughter hidden in colors. One piece showed a little girl painting under sunlight, a quiet echo of my grandfather's sketch. Aunt Margaret paused in front of it. That one's special, I nodded. It's called Scene, she smiled. He'd be proud. I hope so, I whispered. Across the room, a boy about 8 tugged at my sleeve. Hi, he said shyly. I'm Liam. I painted the tree. I knelt beside him. It's beautiful. What made you paint it? He shrugged. Trees make me feel safe, I smiled. That's a good reason. You know, when I was your age, I painted things that made me feel brave. He looked up, curious. Did it work? It took a while, I said. But yes, it worked, he grinned. Then I'll keep painting too. Before I could reply, he held out a small flower, clumsy, bright, and perfect. For you. Your paintings feel happy. Something caught in my throat. Thank you, Liam. That means more than you know. He smiled and ran back to the table, leaving paint smudges on my hand. Aunt Margaret chuckled softly. Looks like someone found your biggest fan. I stared at the little flower. It's strange, I said quietly. I thought I'd lost everything. But I was just making space. For what? She asked. For this, I said. For them. For me, Lucas stepped closer. You built something better than revenge. I looked around. The laughter, the colors, the peace. I didn't build it, I said. I just stopped destroying myself. He smiled. That's still creation. The evening light turned golden, soft and forgiving. People wandered the room, admiring the art, taking photos, sharing stories. Every sound felt alive, honest. Aunt Margaret whispered, This feels like family. I nodded slowly. It is. She squeezed my hand. Then keep it that way. As the sun dipped lower, the light hit the paintings perfectly, glowing like they were breathing. The air buzzed with gentle happiness, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Lucas leaned against the wall beside me. So what's next for you, artist? I smiled. Maybe another exhibit. Maybe just another day of peace, he chuckled. Boring. Beautiful, I corrected. He lifted his glass. To new beginnings, I raised mine. To being seen. When the crowd thinned, I stood in the center of the studio, staring at the walls glowing with color. The echoes of laughter still lingered, soft and warm. I whispered to myself, This is the reunion I deserved. And for the first time, I didn't need anyone else to say it back.